Hi, I'm Rachel from the Entrepreneurship Institute, and we're here to share with you a series of short films about the 7 skills of an entrepreneurial mindset. Today we're going to talk about the skill to get it done with Head of Careers Kate Daubney and our special guest today, Meg.
Thank you, Rachel, and welcome to Meg. So, Rachel, tell us all about what it means to get it done.
Get it done is about prioritizing execution. So when you have your big long to-do list, it's about making sure that you know what the most important things are on that list that are going to push you further towards your ultimate goal. So it's about being aware of yourself, overcoming the mental blockers that might stop you from pushing yourself. So fear of failure, fear of judgment, and having the self-awareness to know, no, I'm procrastinating, I'm not doing the thing that I know I need to get done, and being able to push yourself into that productivity mode of, no, I'm going to do the things that are going to push me further, faster.
So there's something about flexibility and adaptability and a certain amount of agility there, isn't it? And being able to shift your mindset when you're under pressure, perhaps, and things aren't going quite as well as you would want them to go. And I think employers find that quite valuable. They're looking for students who can perhaps see outside a problem and look at it from different perspectives to move it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a whole range of different skills that kind of fall underneath it, but it's ultimately the people that within organisations even push organisations forward as well, because they know how to do the things and bring on side the people that need to push things forward.
Sure.
So Meg, how has the skill of getting things done been helpful in your journey so far?
So firstly, thank you for your definition, because I think that put a lot more in perspective for me, because I think the general assumption with getting things done is just ploughing through. But I think the key word that everyone should think about is the idea of counterbalancing and being able to pivot and being really flexible. So getting it done has been really important to me because I've had a number of different hats to hold while being an entrepreneur. Being a student, wanting to complete my degree, as well as being a founder and CEO of a company. So getting things done and making sure I know what to prioritize has been huge in terms of being able to get the results that I want. So part of that has been about counterbalancing. So I read a book called The One Thing, Gary W. Keller. So if you want a book as an entrepreneur, that is a definite shout. And it talks about counterbalancing. And the main thing about that is understanding that there is no such thing as having a balance, and there's no such thing as a work-life balance and not being able to multitask. So we've all been fed this lie for years about multitasking, as well as being women, that multitasking actually makes you ineffective. It takes away anything that means that your 100% of kind of focus gets taken away is ineffective. So it talks about understanding there's a time for everything and being able to actually prioritize and pivot well. And as an entrepreneur, that's been key. So pivoting in, for instance, at the beginning, when you start off your company, you are everything. So being able to realize that at this moment you need to be a sales manager, or at this moment you need to do HR, or on this moment you are not only an employer but you're an employee, or you also need to be someone who's a student and learning. So that's been huge for me, because it's meant that I've always been able to, I guess, increase my effectiveness, because I know that actually I can't get everything done, but there is a time to get everything done, and just being a lot more, I guess, kinder to myself, of understanding that if it's not getting done today, there's tomorrow, and that's actually the right time for that to be getting done.
It would be great to hear an example of a time when you had to pivot from one role to another that perhaps was quite a transitional moment in your business.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say really recently would be transitioning from being kind of a sole team member to building a team. That's really difficult, and I don't think anyone talks about that enough, because I think we all believe we are innate leaders, or we've got leadership characteristics, but actually putting that into practice is a completely different situation. Everyone tells you to get a team because it will make your life easier. It actually doesn't. I think for me it made my life a lot harder, because actually leading, there's an art to it. There's an art, there's a particular craftsmanship of becoming a leader. So I'd say becoming a leader was a really big one, and I would say another one was understanding that as an entrepreneur you are effectively a marketing director as well. I was not artistic beforehand, or I would like to say I wasn't artistic beforehand, and the transition of having to kind of design a website and actually just break it down in terms of tasks. What transferable skills can get me to execute this task, and how can I actually stretch myself and feel uncomfortable but be comfortable in that uncomfortableness, because I'm growing, and at the same time so is my company growing. So I'd say those two have been the biggest, like, whoa.
I have another question for you.
Go for it.
Do you procrastinate?
Oh yeah, we all do. That's 100% sure. Yeah. So I definitely procrastinate. So
what do you do when you procrastinate, and how do you get yourself out of that?
lists. I think I procrastinate by over planning, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like this, and a lot of people who work on their own crafts are like this. You may be someone who gets a lot of stuff done, but all the stuff you're getting done aren't the most important things. They are not adding to any value, and it looks like you're ticking things off and it's like, woo, I'm being productive, but what are you being productive in? And for me, it's by emails. Procrastinating is me actually doing emails, because you may think you're being productive and you think, yeah, great, that there's all these emails and emails are great, but emails aren't actually a job. Like, that's great, but that's not adding to your bigger picture. So I think for me, procrastinating is definitely emails, and over planning. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, actually this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and nothing's being done. Then you sync it with all your different calendars. Yeah, that's really nonsense.
So how do you get yourself out of that?
Stop what I'm doing. Accept, and actually just understanding that sometimes you actually need the procrastination. Your mind, and I think this is from a mental health point of view, your mind can't concentrate 24/7, and actually the procrastination is also great, because during procrastination your mind basically rests in that time, sometimes too much, like if it's like an hour, 2-3 hours procrastinating, or a whole day, a week, which can happen. That's obviously quite negative, but being able to just have some free time, because maybe actually, even though it didn't look like it was important, for example, emails, or for example, doing your timetable and time management, they're all actually really essential as well, because if you don't have your time managed, then everything else will fall apart. And emails are also essential as well. As a company owner, the administration tasks aren't fun, but they're also crucial. They build your relationship with clients, they build your relationship with your users, and it actually gets your name out there. So it's all part of the sales funnel anyway.
Okay, so if I was to ask you both, if someone wants to develop the skill of being able to get it done, what would you say would be some advice for them?
I think it's two things for me. One is actually just about being very organised. You've talked about the importance of breaking tasks down, of having a little bit of self-analysis, of stepping back, giving yourself space to be objective about how something actually gets done. But I also really like that idea of pivot, of being able to put yourself in different roles at different times and actually try to see things from somebody else's perspective, either a real person or a hypothetical person. So it's a really nice balance there of very practical, organisational stuff, which sometimes we overlook. It's a really important employability skill, but also that kind of human dimension to that, being able to put yourself in different roles.
Cool. I would say I've got 3 things. So the first one is just about being realistic. So as much as it's great to have a to-do list that has 21 things, there's something better, and as human beings we love positive feedback. So having maybe 5 main things that you want to get done in a day. So I have 3, power of 3, which is great. So there's 3 main things that you need to get done, and when you tick them off, you know you're actually working towards. And it's about being selective and realistic in terms of, are these tasks important for me to do today? Are these tasks important for me to do right now? So it's about understanding what's urgent and what's important and what can actually be done later on in the week. That's what really helps. Counterbalancing as well, understanding that you shouldn't actually be a multitasker. So one thing that I try and channel the most is being a monotasker. So trying to do one thing at one time and doing that fantastically, like putting 110% in doing one thing, and that's changed my effectiveness 100. Literally, I think it's made me even more productive than I ever thought. And I would say the last one is all about understanding that you can't do everything alone. Where you can delegate and bring more people into your space to help you is great, especially as an entrepreneur. There are so many other people around you that you haven't realised that actually share the same passion as you, and there's nothing better than to collaborate. I think collaboration is one of the huge things about being an entrepreneur, collaborating with different ideas, different people, different spaces and industries. And actually when you collaborate with lots of different people from multidisciplinaries, you get actually the best kind of outcomes. So I would definitely say being realistic, counterbalancing, and collaboration. You can't do it alone, would be my main things about getting it done.
And my last one is on Keats, on our King's Entrepreneurship Institute page. We have a webinar for you that is about overcoming mental blockers and becoming more productive, so you can check that out. So if you want to continue the conversation with us, you can find us at King's Careers and Employability and the King's Entrepreneurship Institute.